Fine. Now we'll go through the rest of setups which are pending for receivables. So we'll go and create the memo lines to address the service names. So go to implementation project. So go to manage implementation projects, click on overview. So task name is memo lines. Memo lines are standard memo lines. Okay. Uh, all are same, like you can search with the term called as memo lines. Okay. So task name is manage standard memo lines. Click on go to task icon. So this we can create before you go and create the transaction which is related to services. Better we can just complete as a part of setup so that we can use the same definition at the time of transaction creation. Just say create. So select reference data set as a common. We can provide the name as Google, and service name we can say Fusion Training. Line type, everything we can accept, all not required. So now we have to assign this memo line to specific BU. And if you want to derive the revenue based on the memo line, we have to provide the revenue account. Accordingly, we have to set the auto accounting. That we know. The same works same as EBS. So here we have to pick our BU name. So look at this search criteria equals. So select as starts. And say OK. And say save and close. Just we're done with this. Now we'll go and create the receivable activities. If you compare with EBS, in EBS if you want to create EBS release 12, not 11i. So in EBS if you want to create the receivable activities, we have to set party tax profile in EBS EBT, e-business tax. Without setting a party tax profile for specific operating unit in EBS, we cannot create receivable activities in EBS release 12. But here, so there is no such kind of dependency. Directly you can create the receivable activities without creating the party tax profile for our business unit. Okay, directly we can go and create the receivables activities. So we know, like when we create a receipt method within the class, when you create the receipt method, so two receivable activities are mandatory. Those are earn discount and unearned discount. Before we go and create the receipt class and method, okay, it's a mandatory. We have to get ready with those two activities. Search for receivables activities. So manage receivables activities. Just click on go to task icon. Click on create. Select our BU. Name we can provide as a earned discount. The activity type also earn discount, and provide GL account. Select company, department, account we can select as a earn discount account. Search for discount with the discount term. So no issue. Seems to that account is not there. That account should be part of it. Since we are using this corporate account, maybe somebody might have just disabled and all. That's what we have seen in the for other accounts also. No issues. You can select any one of the account. Reality we have to select the same name. Just earn discount account. Now we have to create one more receivable activity for unearned discount. Select our business unit. Provide the name as unearned discount. And here you can provide unearned discount account code combination. Now for testing purpose you can choose any one of the account. If that account is available we can select, otherwise just for to complete the definition you can go with any one of the account. There won't be an issue. Say okay. So save and close. We're done with the earned and unearned discount related receivable activities. Now we'll go and create the receipt class and receipt method. Okay, search for receipt class and methods. Receipt class and methods. Should be receipt classes. Manage receipt classes and methods. Click on the task. Click on go to task icon. Just click on create. Name we can say Google receipt class or Google standard receipt class. Creation method, how we are going to create receipts through manual process. Remittance method, say standard or standard and factoring, matching and everything is fine. Here you can give the receipt method name. Just click on add, place cursor here. It will open the field and enter the name as say Google check. So we will receive the payments from customers through check. And here we have to add the remittance bank account details. Click on add. Select BU name. Provide bank account details. Done. Okay, the cash account system is defaulting from bank account. You just provide these accounts based on the field name. Receipt confirmation account, remittance account, unapplied receipt, unidentified receipt account code combination, on account receipt. Here just to fill those account fields I'm using the same account. Here select earn discount and unearned discount related receivable activities which just now we created. And say save and close. If you compare with EBS, same as it is. There in case of EBS, we have form and we'll click on bank accounts tab. It will open the separate window. There we provide, but here they're given this. Since it's a web page, this is how just they did a kind of framework. So save and close.
Lakshman,
Yeah, please.
yeah, the claim investigation is available in EBS, like that here in receipt method, remittance bank.
That's
In claim investigation,
yeah. Depending on like what are the options we are. I mean, how the creation method you are choosing, it will just default. You can have that option. You can select creation method. How you are creating receipt class definition. You can see those options in the definition.
okay. Based on the class option, it will come as the claim investigation.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine. So we'll just go and create the receipt source definition. So basically, when you create the individual receipts, not required. Like if you go with the batch process, we require receipt source. So we'll be working on receipt batch also. At the time, we can use receipt source definition. Just click on go to task icon against the manage receipt sources. So click on create. Say Google. So now we'll see, just we'll open the periods. We're done with the role assignment, AR role assignments to user, and we provided data access and we submitted LDAP job, LDAP job. Now we'll open receivables periods. To open the receivables periods, just go to navigator. Under receivables, select task called as accounts receivable. So here billing means where from where we can create the transactions. Account receivables mean nothing but it will allow us to connect to receipt workbench. Receivables means receipt workbench here. Just click on accounts receivable and go to task list. Here you could see the task called as manage accounting periods. Okay, click on manage accounting periods. Just click on ledger name, which is mapped with our BU. You could see the same once you place the cursor on that. Okay, just click on the name. So what is the first period you want to open for receivables? Jan 2018. Say okay. Just click on refresh. Once you see the update as period is open, we can open the current period as a target period. Fine, done. Now we can go to actions and say open target period. The target period is May 2018. Just say yes. And just say okay. Fine, done. So already we opened GL period for May month. So now we can proceed with the transactions. So as I mentioned in the course curriculum, just I list out all the topics which we are going to cover. But just for now, what we'll do is we'll see how to create the transaction. Create transaction. First we'll see create transaction, then we'll see how to create receipt and how to apply the receipt on the transaction. Okay, after that just I'll get that complete list from the course curriculum and we'll go one by one. Fine, done. So create transaction. To create the transaction we have to go to billing task. From here you can switch, or else we know like from navigator also you can directly select and you can land on that specific page. Receivables billing. Go to task list, say create transaction. Select transaction source as Google invoice and bill to name our customer name. We created as a Google customer one. Just tab out, enter Google and tab out, it will fetch. Okay. And system is defaulting all the ship to, bill to, and payment terms from this customer profile class. Now here this is a line, so you can enter the item. If you want to include the item, you can enter the item. So inventory we map through system options, right? So from there we can fetch the item. 1 second, it's defaulting but name is wrong. Go to search. This is the item which is available in the inventory. The same inventory we map with our receivables or BU through system options. Basically, it should default the description also, right? No issues. So quantity one, say $10,000. So then just save it. So just we set up auto accounting. Based on auto accounting, system will derive debit and credit. If you want to see that the line distribution specific, so line related distribution, what you could do is just select that line and go to actions. Here is the option called as edit distribution, so you can view the distributions which system is deriving based on auto accounting. Receivables and revenue account, it is deriving from auto accounting. Okay, so once we provide all these details, we have to complete the transaction, right? So here we have option. If you want to create one more transaction, say complete and create another. Just you can complete and review, and you can complete and close. Just let's click on complete and review, so that will be just will be just system won't change the page. It will complete and it will show the information will be on the same page. So transaction number is 1. So this is how we can create the transaction. You can just to close this transaction window, you can click on cancel. Now we'll go and create the receipt, and we'll apply the receipt on the transaction number 1. So to create the receipt, go to accounts receivable. Go to accounts receivable and click on task list. Say create receipt. Select receipt method, how we are getting the payment from customer. Just we have only one method which we defined as a Google check. Select it. Receipt number, nothing but check number, say 123, and enter amount. The receipt entered amount is say $10,000, and the rest nothing. Here you can provide the customer name. We received the payment from which customer. Okay, select customer site to. Let me given this provided required information. Now you can just click on this drop down option, say submit and apply manually. Submit and apply. Now we can find the transaction to apply the receipt on the transaction. So once you click on that, this will be just finding this page. Click on add open receivables. Here you can search for the transaction. Receipt reference number is nothing but transaction number. Our transaction number is 1, or else you can go with this search criteria. You can search and find the transactions. Since we know the transaction number, I am directly entering the transaction number as 1. Click on search. So So this is the transaction available. We want to apply the receipt on the same transaction. So select, so add. It should add in the background so that we can close it. When added, you can click on done. So now this is a receipt, right? 123. The receipt we applied on this transaction amount due is became 0. I can just click on save and close. So if you want to perform the accounting,
Lakshman,
yeah,
Lakshman, in EBS we have the status as unidentified, identified, applied, unapplied, on account. That kind of status is available at the time of taking receipts.
yes. Here also you can see
In
that
Fusion we have.
it's depending on like how you apply. Normally the see there you can see that is some panel, right, balances related section.
Yeah.
Here based on the, I mean, how you are creating, automatically it will give the status. So if you don't have customer selection, it is unidentified. If customer you have, like, it is
Okay.
just, it will say like just unapplied. Okay, it will give the status.
But I didn't see this form. I didn't see this form. That's why I'm asking.
The form is not well, they didn't give separate panel kind of thing. Okay, based on the receipt creation, the status field will keep updating.
Okay.
Okay, see here, when we create next receipt, I'll just show you that where you could see that relevant fields. Okay,
Okay.
the right side they given the balances. We will be creating multiple receipts. I'll just show you. As a panel, they didn't provide here. That is a point we have to understand. Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
So this is how just you can create the transaction, and you can create the receipt, and you can apply that transaction on the, you can apply that transaction receipt on the transaction. So if you want to perform the accounting for the transaction or receipt, the same like through that actions, you can go and submit the accounting. We'll see that also. I just forgot to touch that point. 1 second. So go to manage transactions. And here the transaction number is 1. Click on search. Click on transaction number, or from here actions also can do it. So click on actions. If you want to create accounting and transfer to GL, click on post to ledger. So accounting is created. If you want to view, you can view it, or I'll just say okay. Now you can go and find within the GL. So before that, we'll go and see the accounting for receipt also. Go to accounts receivable, manage receipts, select our BU. So the status wise also you can just find out the receipts, applied receipts. See, unapplied, unidentified receipts. Receipt number is 123. Right. This is the receipt which we created and applied. Just click on receipt number, it will open. So here go to actions, say post to ledger. So so that's all about transaction creation, receipt creation, and application. Fine, these are the concepts which I just mentioned as a part of course curriculum. Just now we have seen how to create the invoice transaction as well as how to create the standard receipt. Now we'll see how to create the credit memo transaction. To test this credit memo transaction, what we'll do is first we'll create one transaction. We may create with maybe $5,000. So to reduce $1,000 from this, we'll create one credit memo. Okay, create. After that, we'll create the credit memo with minus $1,000. So that too we are going to create through manual process. Okay. After that, without entering the credit memo details, how to create the credit memo from existing transaction, we'll see, which comes under automatic credit memo transaction. In EBS case, we have a credit transaction, right? We'll see that. So now we'll see how to create the credit memo. To test that functionality, we'll create one transaction with the $5,000 and we'll create credit memo with $1,000 against the same transaction. We'll see that. So to create the transaction, go to billing task, say create transaction. Select transaction source as Google invoice. Customer details. So our customer name is Google customer 1. You can select item, otherwise just you can write the description directly. Quantity 1, as we discussed, $5,000, and say complete and review. Close. So transaction number 2, we create a transaction number as a 2, right? Now we'll create credit memo with $1,000 against transaction number 2. So go to create transaction. Here process wise, we'll create transaction, we'll create credit memo, and we have to apply credit memo on transaction. 3 steps process: create transaction, create credit memo, apply credit memo on the transaction to reduce the customer outstanding balances. So select transaction class as credit memo. Okay, select transaction class as credit memo, then select transaction source as a Google credit memo transaction source, and customer name Google customer 1. Here if you want to select item, you can select, otherwise you can just write the description. I'll write it as a correction. How much? As we discussed, $1,000, right? So credit memo minus negative, so complete and close. So from here we don't apply that. Okay, so at the time of creation you don't see that option. If you want to, you create a credit memo, that credit memo if you want to apply on the transaction, go to accounts receivables, go to task list. Here you can find the task called as apply credit memo. Okay, manage credit memo application. Click on manage credit memo application. So you want to apply the credit memo and which transaction, or else just you can search with the transaction number is 2. Search for the transaction number. Sorry, it's a credit memo transaction. It's 1, right? The actual transaction number is 2. Credit memo transaction number is 1. Search for credit memo transaction number. So this is a credit memo which you create with the minus $1,000. Now select it. So should be another tab here. This is not which way the tab is missing. We should have one more. No, not along with the refund. We should have another task also. 1 second. We'll just see now. Okay. So we create a transaction. We created credit memo. Now we have to apply. Okay. Manage credit memo applications. Basically here there should be one more tab. It's missing. We have inside of this. Search which credit memo you want to apply. Okay. The credit memo. Sorry, one we want to apply on the transaction 2. Search for the credit memo. This is our credit memo. Here there is no tab option. No issues. Just click on transaction number. Create memo transaction number. Click on add open receivables. So you want to apply this credit memo 1 on transaction number 2. Search for transaction number 2, which we created with the $5,000. Select 5,000. Click on add. Click on done. So we applied. Okay, we applied 1,000 credit memo. Okay, on 5,000 transaction. And just say save and close. So this is how we can apply the credit memo on the transaction. If you want to create the transaction, okay, without entering these details, if you want to create the credit memo, we can go with the credit transaction. EBS we have a credit transaction. The same I just written as a automatic credit memo transaction. That means system will create the credit memo automatically, where you can specify how much amount you want to reduce from the transaction. Now we'll go with the same case. So we have a transaction with the 5,000. We created one credit memo with $1,000. We'll go and create one more credit memo with one more 1,000 against the same transaction. Transaction number is 2. Now we'll go with this function, automatic credit memo transaction. To perform the transaction, you can go to billing, go to task list. So here we have same task as a credit transaction. Even we in EBS also we see as a credit transaction. Click on credit transaction. So you want to reduce from which original transaction? The original transaction number is 2. The actual original amount is 5,000. We created one manual credit with 1,000. Now the original transaction outstanding amount is 4,000 only. Okay, just give the number and tab out. System will fetch the details. Yes, it is fetching. It is showing original amount is 5,000. Activity is done with 1,000. That is nothing but credit memo we created. The current balance within the transaction is 4,000. We want to reduce one more 1,000. Okay, here this is a source like system is selecting. Okay, you can just This is the actual source. It is system is taking from the original transaction. Okay, if you want to change, you can change it. Okay, so here you can specify in terms of percentage or amount. We'll just reduce the amount, say -1,000. It's 20%. So its remaining balance is becoming 3,000. So just provide this, then say complete and review. So now it will create one more credit memo with $1,000. So automatically system will perform. Just you have to enter how much amount you want to reduce. That's all. Close it. Will go and verify whether system created credit memo or not. So here it is showing credit memo 2. Okay. The same will go and verify. Go to transaction workbench. Click on manage transactions. So find all the transactions which are created against this customer. Customer is Google customer 1. Just click on search. So the invoice 1 and 2 we created, and the credit memo, this is the one which we created manually. This is the credit memo which system created just now against original transaction 2. So this is how just we can create manual and automatic credit memos. Now we'll see the debit memo creation, same as invoice transaction. That's where you can provide the reference by referring existing transaction, maybe as additional amount. You can create the debit memo. There is some slight difference compared to EBS, the field selection and all. We'll see that. So now, so within this transaction we have a 3,000 balance because we created two credit memos, 1,000. So now you want to add 5 more thousand to this transaction. The current outstanding is 3,000. You want to add 5 more thousand. Reality system won't add. By referring this existing transaction, you can create the debit memo, which is equal to invoice transaction. We'll see how to create the debit memo transaction. Go to
Lakshman?
Yep.
Yeah, when would they use the manual credit memo transaction versus
Sorry.
when would they actually use what is the scenario they would actually use manual versus automatic?
No, no. Simple. You want to. It's all about you want to reduce the balances. Okay. If you want to reduce the balance, you can go with any option. There won't be any some specification and all. Reality, when you do the RMA, return material authorization and all sales returns process, that sales return activity which you do in receivables, that can create the automatic credit memo. That is one scenario. Within the receivables, these two functions are available. By using any one of the function, you can do it. That business will take decision which one they want to use. Yes, they want to create manually, they want to apply. If they want to do it very simplified manner, they can select the transaction, they can give the amount how much they want to simply reduce, so they can do it. And if they want to write some description and all, that is also possible in the credit transaction. With both would be equal. Ultimately those will reduce the balances.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. So now just we'll see the debit memo transaction creation. So go to create transaction, select transaction class as debit memo. We know debit memo also by default positive side. If you want to create with a negative, yes, you can create. At the time of transaction type creation, we have that option. We know that same. So select source as a Google debit memo transaction source and specify the customer details. And enter some description, addition, quantity 1. You may want to add 5 more thousand to existing transaction. So done. We create it as a same as a invoice transaction. Go to show more. Okay, go to show more. If we're going to show more, you could see the different tabs within the show more. Now you can go to miscellaneous tab. Okay, there you could see one field called as cross reference. Nothing but you are creating this debit memo by referring which other transaction. Other transaction is 2. In case of EBS, we can select the existing transaction from LOV of cross reference field, but here it's a dynamic field. Just you have to enter that invoice number. You cannot select from LOV. Okay, that is a small difference to understand. So just we are providing cross reference. Just this has some relation. This credit debit memo has some relation with the transaction number 2. That's what we are mentioning. Nothing else. Just when you run the reports and all, you could see that information as this debit memo is created by referring so and so existing transaction. That's all. It won't add balances to the transaction 2 and nothing. It will be as a individual transaction standalone. So but just you can provide reference and you can enter. That's all. Say complete and close or complete and review. So this is all about just debit memo transaction creation. Now we'll see the transaction creation with the memo lines. So instead of selecting item or writing the description, you can select the memo line. We may have a requirement of deriving the revenue account from memo line. In that case, so accordingly we have to provide the revenue account in memo line as mandatory. In the auto accounting level, you have to set derive from memo lines, right? So we'll see that how to create the transaction with the memo line. The same process, but just will select memo line. So create transaction. So transaction source is Google invoice transaction source, customer name. So here you can write some description as a training, and here you can select memo line. If you notice in EBS, we'll have only one field. Within the description field, if you want to write dynamic test, you can write it, or else from LOV you can select memo line name. But here, if description is separate field, and for if you want to select memo line, you can select from here. They're given just separate fields. So this is the name we given, Google Fusion Training, and you can provide the price and all. So just enter any one of the number. So that this is how just you can enter and say complete and close. That's it. Just including memo line, how to create transaction. So now we'll see the chargeback transaction. Okay. So to test this chargeback transaction, okay, let me take this here. Okay, to test this chargeback, we'll go with a simple case. So what we'll do is say we'll create one transaction, maybe with the $10,000, and say customer has to pay today only, and but say customer paid only 8,000. So for 8,000, we'll create receipt. Receipt will create for 8,000. The same will apply. Still there will be 2,000 due. So a customer is requesting us to postpone the remaining 2,000 due to a future date. In that case, what we can do is by postponing the due date for remaining amount, we can create the chargeback. Okay, create transaction with 10,000, create receipt and apply up to 8,000. Still there will be 2,000 outstanding amount from customer. If customer is going to request us to postpone the due date, it's not asking the customer will pay later. The due date itself, customer may request us to postpone. So in that case, for remaining open item, outstanding amount, we have to create the separate transaction called as chargeback transaction. So say create chargeback transaction. It's $2,000. Okay, create transaction with 10, create receipt with some partial amount for our testing. And remaining amount, if customer is going to request us, you create the chargeback, you perform the chargeback activity, system will create the chargeback transaction automatically. So for that, the setup which is required is, anyway we have a chargeback transaction type, source not required. So only we have to create receivable activity for chargeback. Say create receivables activity for chargeback. And after creating the receivable activity, the setup which is required will go with this testing. Okay, here you can take the point as say perform chargeback for 2000, then system creates chargeback transaction. Okay, whenever you perform the chargeback, automatically system will create chargeback transaction with the 2000. The separate transaction type would be chargeback transaction type. So to test this, before you go and perform chargeback where system will create chargeback transaction, we have to create the receivable activity for chargeback. Just go to setup part, setup and maintenance. Just click on search. Okay, receivable activity you can search from here or else from project. From anywhere you can do it. No scope selection is required as a part of task. Say receivables activities. So manage receivables activities. Just like automatically system creates few receivable activities for each business unit. We'll just go and verify the same is applicable for chargeback or not. So this is our BU. We didn't create any receivable activity for chargeback, just search. You could see here chargeback adjustment. That's how by default. Okay, default receivable activity system will create for every BU, for our BU. We never created. Only the point here is we have to add the account, chargeback account. To add the chargeback account, you select that chargeback adjustment receivable activity, click on edit, and just select here activity as a activity GL account and set tax rate code as a none. And here you provide account called as chargeback account. Chargeback account. Seems to that account is not there. No issues. I think this is a chargeback account. We have accounts in that value set, but seems to somebody just deactivated, so that is we are not getting. No issues. Select some chargeback account here and just say save and close. By default, you could see one account in the corporate account value set as a chargeback burden. Okay, that's basically just account which you could see as a part of corporate account value set. So done anyway. Just we created it. Now the next step: create transaction with 10,000, create receipt and apply same 8,000, and remaining outstanding we can charge back by postponing the due date. So create transaction with $10,000. Just go to navigator. So just go to billing. Click on task list. Say create transaction. Select transaction source. You can select items or any, you can write anything, service. So complete and close. The transaction number would be 4. Okay, so transaction number is 4. Now we'll create receipt with $8,000. Switch to accounts receivable. It's nothing but receipt workbench. Go to task list. Say create receipt. Select receipt method. Enter receipt number, receipt amount. Customer has to pay $10,000 but paid only 8,000. The same amount you can enter. And customer details. Select customer site. From which site we received that payment. And just say submit and apply. Click on add open receivables so that you can find out outstanding transaction. Transaction number is 4. Search. Select transaction. Click on add and say done. The background you could see that is added. Now you can click on done. Now save it. So 8,000 receipt we applied on 10,000 transactions. Still outstanding amount due is 2,000. Now this 2,000 due amount, say customer is requesting us to postpone the due date. Okay, in that case we have to charge back this. So we have to close this transaction. The transaction 4 has 10,000 outstanding. We applied 8,000. Now 2,000 is due. Instead of keeping this 2,000 in the same transaction number 4, we'll be creating the separate transaction by specifying the due date as a new. So for that, what we could do is select it and go to actions. Okay, here you have an option called as create chargeback. Click on create chargeback and select chargeback transaction type, which you already created along with invoice, debit memo, credit memo. This is the one we created. And select a chargeback distribution account. And here you have to postpone the due date. Just select this receivables. Due date. Okay, for this 2,000. You want to create charge. Remaining outstanding amount is 2,000. Whether you want to create chargeback for entire amount or specific amount, you may make 1,000 also. 1,000 amount you may charge back. Remaining 1,000 customer may pay on the same transaction. You can plan it. So here you may choose, okay, this month end we are giving the postpone due date to this month end. The reasons you may specify why we are postponing the reasons, etc. Okay, and we may write some comments here and click on save and close. Our system will close the existing transaction with the original amount and it will create new transaction with the 2,000. If you want to see the transaction, you can go to transaction workbench. So manage transaction. So you can search with the customer. So this is a chargeback transaction system created, that too against which transaction? Transaction number 4. Okay, so here we can create the chargeback transaction to postpone the outstanding amounts of customer based on customer request.
Next one, very quick question.
Yeah,
When we created receivable activity for, uh, um, to mention the chargeback account, the
yeah,
receivable activity,
correct.
but when we selected the chargeback under the receipts,
Hmm.
why is that account not defaulted?
No, it won't default, and system will have a validation whether you created chargeback or not. It won't default.
Okay.
Okay,
So, but that activity is mandatory before
yeah,
we.
mandatory. Mandatory. Otherwise, it
Okay.
won't allow you to create the chargeback act.
Okay.
I mean, chargeback. It won't allow you to perform the chargeback.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. Yep. You may just test it, that you can see that.
Yeah.
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 Yes. Fine. Now we'll see how to just keep any unapplied receipt amount on account, how to release and how to apply. We'll see this. So just we'll go and create one receipt, and we'll keep that receipt on account, and we'll release and we'll apply another transaction. So create one receipt. So maybe just 5,000. Double two, double two. Go to add open receivables. Search for our customer. So receipt amount is $5,000, right? Now we'll just go and apply that receipt amount on specific transaction where the transaction amount is less than that. Now we'll go and apply that amount on this receipt transaction number 3. So add and say done. Consider we don't have transaction to, or else you can apply this also, no issues. This also you can add. Add 2 transaction. Total amount is 4 only. Our receipt amount is 5. So 2 are added in the background. Click on done. Now still we have 1,000 unapplied amount. Now you can save it. We created receipt with the 5,000. We applied 5,000 receipt on 2 transactions where applied amount is 4,000. Now still 1,000 is unapplied. Now if you want to keep this amount on account, what you could do is you can go to actions, okay, and go to more and say create on account application. It will add one more line to apply. The total is the total unapplied amount we want to take into application on account. Say okay. Done. So this is all just you can keep on account. You can save it. So now we don't have any other outstanding transactions. So what we'll do, we'll go and create one. So we may create one transaction so that we have a new transaction with the same customer. So with 5,000, customer has to pay 5,000. Now go to receipts. So manage receipts. The receipt number is 2222, in which receipt we have on account amount. Search for the receipt. Select receipt and click on edit or click on receipt number itself. Now we have 1,000 which customer paid on account. Now this you can release and you can apply on other transaction, other open transaction. You can just select it, go to not required. You just select it and apply application. You can say an apply application. Save and close. Now it will set back to unapplied. Now that amount, okay, you can apply on other customer available transaction. Maybe I think 5. Yes, 5,000. Add. Done. So whatever the amount we kept on account, that we released and we applied on this transaction. Now there is no unapplied amount, total applied amount only. Still this transaction or due amount is 4,000. Done. Okay. So that's all about on account receipt.